gavel. All right, Rob, we'll go 3, 2, 1. Good evening, folks.
I did.
Unmute, thank you.
I just did.
Good evening, folks. I'd like to call the Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 Select Board meeting to order. Tonight's meeting is being recorded live on RCTV, which is Comcast Channel 22 or Verizon Channel 33. Our videographer for tonight's meeting is Rob. Oh, thank you. I have a gavel and everything. Let me give you a quick overview of tonight's meeting in terms of kind of how we're going to proceed. So I'll give a quick overview here. We'll go on to liaison and town manager reports. We'll have public comment and public comment related to things other than parking, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Because after that, we'll go on to a public hearing about a new liquor license application. Then we're going to continue the hearing on park and the park recommendations. And if folks would like to speak on the park recommendations, that's probably a better time. It's more appropriate in terms of timing. We'll close that hearing. We'll take some votes. The votes tonight will be on the park recommendations that the PTTTF has also reviewed, mainly the parking areas and the kiosks in the 2 central lots. We will not be voting on any parking permit fees, parking fines, or business permit fees. Those are being explored by Deputy Chief Amendola, who's right there. Hi. And the PTTF and town staff, and we'll set an agenda item to discuss those at a meeting in the near future, I think probably pretty soon after this one. We will be voting on the pricing in the 2 central lots, which is set as 1 hour is free, up to 4 hours at $1 per hour, and over 4 hours is $5 per hour. Once we finish the hearing on the liquor license, we'll move on to that hearing and we'll take public comment, as I mentioned, and we'll vote on the recommendations. I would ask that residents and interested parties in the room or on Zoom, when called upon, please identify yourself by name and address for the record and limit your comment to 2 minutes. With that, that's the plan. Let's do liaison and town manager reports. We'll go around the room. Carlo, anything to report?
Just town meeting for me right now. I'm good.
Just town meeting. Chris?
Yeah, same thing for me as well. I would just like to commend everyone that has presented in town meeting thus far. I found it this year, with it being in person, has a different feel than it has been on Zoom, and I think Alan, Laura, staff, everybody has done exceptional. Same thing with Heather last night with CPDC. I mean, in an hour and 15, hour and a half, questions, everything afterwards, she did exceptional. So did everybody else, like I always mention, but that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. All right, Jackie, anything?
Just an update that this afternoon, actually, the RMLD board met in executive session to interview candidates for general manager position.
Great. I don't really have any updates either. I want to echo what Chris said. I think the town meeting was great. It was great to be back in person. I love the videos. I think the videos were a really big addition. I know we didn't have hundreds and hundreds of views, but we had a lot of views, especially the CPDC one. I don't know if that accelerated things, but I think it was very helpful. I think it's a great part of the process. I think it just makes it more interesting, and people that want to dig deeper have a chance to do that and dig in. So that's it for updates. Fidel, to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, just to piggyback about town meeting. I mean, I think the opening night, I think it's something that always I will share and remember the honor guard, the national anthem. I mean, it really felt like a celebration, right? It coming together, and I heard from a few members of town meeting how they were so happy to be together again, right? I saw a lot of smiles, a lot of handshaking, a lot of neighbors being neighbors, right? I mean, and I think we all knew that the zoning article is complicated, right? I mean, and it's a complicated issue, and I think that I am excited about where we are in town meeting. Just on a quick update, we are having our first batch pitting in almost 2 years, and it's going to be tomorrow night on Wednesday, May 4th. We are incredibly excited and very similar to the first night in town meeting. we're putting a lot of effort into making it a special event. We'll have some bagpipes that are going to introduce the members, and some very important people are getting pinned, like our deputy chief is one of them. We invited our state delegation, and I know that just overall it should be a tremendous night. Just to point something on the agenda, since I've been on board, one thing that has come up a few times is what are we doing with our two big town-owned properties, Simon Way and Oakland Road. I know we're going to have a lot of discussion tonight, but I just wanted to preface by saying that after having some targeted discussions with staff and board members, I would like to present our two options, and I'm not looking for a vote from the board. It is more a sense of whether we're chasing the right thing or not, right? I mean, whatever we do on these two properties will take a lot of time, but just having a sense from the board of what is the appetite, I think is important. And just finally, there's a lot of momentum growing around a project. We're calling it the Malay, Soms, and Morgan stormwater system. It's a diamond in the rough, if you will. It's a wetland area that we are really hoping to make into a beautiful open space area. We presented an earmark to our congressperson, Moulton, and he was very excited about it, and it has been moved on to the federal appropriations committee. So that's yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed on that one.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Sorry, I did forget one thing. On May 18th, in the community room at the library is going to be a community meet and greet with Sudeshna Chatterjee, the new Director of Equity and Social Justice, 7 p.m. on May 18th in the community rooms in the library. Great. All right, well, we're running ahead of schedule. Let's go to public comment. Do we have folks who'd like to make some public comment? In the room? Alan? Please come up toward the owl, I guess, is the best place.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A little bit closer. Good.
Okay. I know some of you I don't know. My name is Alan Bollier. I'm here with my wife Donna. We have been fortunate enough to both have graduated Reading High School and have had our own children graduate Reading High School, so we've lived here a good bit of time. I'm following up a communication that I sent last summer, but I don't think anything has really happened with it. I'm more of a visual, so this might help.
Thank you.
Things. Okay. There we go. So last summer, the select board allowed flags other than the American flag to be flown on the town common. The town thought that was a wonderful idea. I want to expand on that. So there being no application, I had sent an email last summer requesting that the flags of each individual armed forces branches to be flown on the town common during the week that they were founded. So in your flyer that I've given you, it indicates, the Army was founded June 14th, 1775. Well, that's actually why Flag Day exists on June 14th, because that was in honor of the founding of the Army. Most people aren't even aware that that's why Flag Day exists. But I would like to expand on that and have the actual Army flag flown on the pole on the town common. Similarly, in August, I think the flag for the Coast Guard should be flown. And then also in September, the flag for the Air Force should be flown. And then in October, the Navy, and then in November, the Marines. I've sent emails on this. I know it was mentioned at a select board meeting last summer, but nothing has happened. I sent an email in March haven't really heard anything. So I decided I think this is a really good idea. So I decided I'm going to come before you and actually make a presentation. I can entertain any questions. My wife and I will coordinate acquiring the flags. I hope we can move forward with this and we can start this, June 14th, the week of June 14th, 2022. Do I have any questions?
I don't know if you, typically we don't.
Yeah, we typically don't address it.
Oh, okay, then I'm fine. I'm not good with this public comment.
It's up to Mark. We
So
really
usually we
just-
say is
Yeah.
thanks for presenting.
Right.
Okay.
And acknowledging that you have in fact sent us a couple of emails.
Yeah.
And we did talk about talking about a policy. So what I'm gonna suggest is that we put it onto our agenda for an upcoming meeting, not out in the future, far, but sooner.
Thank you, Chairman Doc, sir. Nice to meet you, Town Manager Maltese, and the rest of you on the committee. I thank you for your time.
Thank you
For coming in.
Thank you much.
Any other public comment in the room?
I second what my husband said.
Thanks, Donna.
Put that on record.
It's on record. It's on TV too. All right, that's where we stop public comment. Caitlin, anyone online that would like to speak?
No.
All right, so it's not 7:30, so we cannot open the hearing on the liquor license. What do you think about moving to the discussion about Simon's Way and Oakland Road?
Fantastic.
All right? So is it okay with everyone if we go out of order because we can't open the hearing otherwise?
Of course.
Great, thanks.
Kaylin, would you mind pulling up those 2 slides about Oakland Road? We can start with that one. So in town meeting on Thursday, and in particular, as we were reviewing the budget, it was very clear that affordable housing is something that that a lot of our town meeting members and our residents are talking about. So what I wanted to present to the board was one concept. And essentially, it is the idea of leveraging the property on Oakland Road to age-restricted affordable housing. So what that means is essentially is affordable housing for seniors, and just sharing in some details. I've met with the Reading Housing Authority, and they are very interested in discussions with the town about engaging in this property. So as you know, the Reading Housing Authority, one of their largest properties is on Tanner Drive, and essentially it's a series of homes where it's for seniors and for seniors only. So the benefit of partnering with Reading Housing Authority is that they have a lot more flexibility when it comes to procurement. They obviously have the ability to maintain the housing afterwards. They essentially would act as as a developer and an owner. So again, there's a lot more work that has to be done to make this into a reality, but I just wanted to get a sense from the board if this is something that was of interest. I will say that one of the items that were approved on Monday town meeting was a modest $50,000 to perform some exploration. I think on Oakland Road in particular, because of the changes in elevation in the property, because of the fact that we have a lot of ledge in the property. We really have to explore whether we can or cannot develop the property. So what I would recommend is that we hire a series of consultants, mostly an architect, to do a layout, right, of what is possible in this property, and what is possible from a layout standpoint, from a unit count, from a potential communal space, and those kind of things. So next slide, Caitlin. And one of the things that was really exciting is in my conversations with our neighbors, I learned that in Linfield, this example was developed. So there is a development called Colonial Village. It is in Linfield. I can certainly arrange a tour. It is for occupants that are 58 years of age or older, and it is you are required to be a current or a former resident. But if you are a former resident, you have to have lived in Linfield within the last 2 years. So this essentially what the village is comprised of is 12 townhomes, and as you can see at the bottom, it's a clustered, a townhome style. These are home ownership opportunities. It's not a rental opportunity. And what was mostly exciting is that they leveraged donations and tax credits, and were able to build the development with no public funds. So if we're able to work something out in this property, I feel like it would be a huge win to our community. And the two pictures at the top, it's essentially a shared clubhouse, a communal space where residents of the village can have parties, can socialize, and the picture on the right is the kitchen in the clubhouse, where essentially it becomes a social. A socializing opportunity. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Board members, questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you. I know this was presented last year, but I forget how much land or acres is on Oakland Road again.
We have roughly 4 acres on Oakland Road. Roughly 4 acres.
And obviously no conservation issues because of the topography there.
Yeah, the main issue is the fact that the
Ledge and the-
exactly
Okay.
legend and the grade changes.
Okay, 4 acres, okay.
Chris?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm in the mindset of we've had this land forever and there's something has to be done with it, like immediately kind of scenario, only because we've had it forever. So whether it's this, whether it's something else, I'm definitely, this does look pretty good with 12 townhouses and all that. I'm not big on real estate, but would that equivalent fit on that land, or how many acres was this one?
We don't know that. So the next step would be to essentially hire an architect, right, and do a layout, right. I think what's hard about Oakland Road is that it's 2 hills that eventually that converge, and on Oakland Road there's a home that's kind of in the middle. So but it'd be a series of layout. Obviously, blasting is an option, but raises cost. Ideally, we're able to blend in the home into a hill, right? So it's at an elevation.
Yeah, because I remember one of Bill Brown's ideas, not mine, is about female veterans housing, because obviously we don't have that either. So I'm more along the mindset of 12 townhouses sounds incredible, and if we can get outside funding, grants, et cetera, and then it's all free other than the land, phenomenal. At least we did something with it. But if we're going to put like 2 houses there or something, I don't see that being something feasible. You know what I mean? It's more of we did it to do it kind of thing. But something, they could get creative. Maybe there could be 14 townhouses there. Who knows? But I'm on the mindset that something should be done with it, with any land that essentially we have that's either buildable or not. So I like the idea.
Thanks, Chris. Jackie?
Yeah, I agree with Chris that scale, to the extent that it's appropriate for the area and that it's feasible, given the topography, is important. A question about the slide previous, I think, the Oakland Road town-owned potential ideas. So there's indication from the Housing Authority that there's a long wait list for senior housing. I'd be curious about how that wait list compares to the wait list for housing generally.
I can actually answer that, only because I work with housing authorities. These wait lists are full forever, years. You try to get into Revere or somewhere else and, it's 10, sometimes 15 years. It's impossible to get in. So I would assume the same thing for Reading, because it's mentioning here, but these wait lists are just unmanageable.
And I guess the reason why I ask is I do think, this is a big project, but also one that serves an important need, and it would be helpful to have some indication or even trend about whether the senior-focused housing or, veteran-focused housing is the best use, or whether there's some benefit to opening it up to other populations, especially given the fact that it's right near, across the street from the high school and right near elementary and middle school, but, yeah.
Cool. I think the idea is really intriguing. I like it very much. A couple of asks, I guess. One, I believe the study from 2014 is what we identified finally. That was the Early Childhood Development Center. And there was all sorts of work done understanding the topography. They did some explorations into the soil. They should have a pretty good idea what's going on under there. I think they did radar stuff as well. So let's not redo that if we have what we need, because I think we do. I doubt that it's changed in 8 years. Second is that the allocation from town meeting was like $50,000, is that right?
That's correct.
So is that enough that we could do this kind of proposed idea we're talking about here for this housing? And also the other thing that you mentioned, which was potentially community space, and what some other potential uses of that space could possibly be. In other words, just, this sounds great, but let's not get our hearts sold on this whole thing to find out that we can put in 2 units and not be very pleased with that outcome and then have to start again. So I'd ask that we see how we can leverage that to take a look at some other community-oriented ideas, maybe. And I think you mentioned community space. It would be awesome to have something like this and have them have a big room and have the ability for us to occasionally use that big room if possible. I know that's a lot of asks, but maybe, who knows, that would be great. And I assume you're gonna pursue this with Reading Housing Authority?
That's my preference, yeah.
Great, okay. And then if there were to be costs kind of beyond what we're talking about here, we'd have a discussion about how we're gonna deal with that.
100%.
Intriguing. I think it's really cool. Would love to see it happen. So I guess the sense of the board is it's really interesting. Let's go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if I could just add
Please.
Yeah, that's why, for me, like you had mentioned, just the 2 units or whatever, that doesn't, that's more of we did it to do it kind of thing. That's where I think that, I don't know how many female veterans there are, but I assume there's more seniors than female veterans. So it seems like that would be more suited for that kind of scenario. But like I said, just whatever we can do to move things along and help some people out.
Awesome. Great, all right. Number 2.
One more, Caleb, yep, for little layout. So the vision for Simon's Way is very undercooked. It's quite rare at this point. Essentially, what we did is Ryan Percival, our town engineer, basically took a snapshot of what the 15 acres that we purchased in 2017 are buildable. So what you'll see there is essentially the 2 dotted lines is the 30-foot buffer, 35-foot buffer, sorry, from the wetland. So what that yields is roughly 2.79 acres of buildable land. This one, we actually had $25,000 already in the budget to hire Weston and Sampson to do a full investigation of the property, and that work is underway right now. By the start of June, we're going to have a full survey of the property, an environmental assessment, some boring explorations into what the soil looks like. At that point, we will have a sense of what is actually buildable. What we did is essentially we took the shape of this property and we said, you know, what's the maximum building, and I say building in a very loose way, I mean a structure, right? I mean, it could be a physical building, or it could be a bubble, it could be a field, it could be anything, and what we tried to fit it obviously in the side of the property that had the biggest space, and the box there that you see hashed out is roughly 30,000 square feet. Interestingly enough, it's very closely resembles the ice rink, right? So the ice rink is roughly 30,000 square feet. It's a rectangle. So the property that we threw in there as a conceptual only is roughly the same size as the ice rink. Obviously, the more thinner sliver would be for parking, right? So we feel confident that with a building of that magnitude plus parking, it is possible. So I toured the ice rink and took a view of it. You know, I dived into the finances, and it seems to be a very good model. It was built with private funds, is my understanding, and it is a self-sustaining entity that does provide a lot of benefits to the community, and more importantly returns both in-kind and financial benefits to the town. With that said, I think it would be interesting in this property to look at something similar. You know, it will match, you know, the use. It will probably be low impact in terms of traffic, and obviously parking is not an issue in this area. And I think if we were to put something that is non-recreation in here, I think we would be mixing two uses that might create some conflict. Where if it's two recreational uses that are not residences and are kind of limited in their hours, I think it's low impact on the you know, on the abutters, if you will. So again, similar to Oakland Road, a lot more conversations need to happen, and you know, the exploration of a possible partner is something that will take some time, but I think with the conversations that we're having, I feel like some folks would be interested in doing something like this.
Comments? Carl?
Yeah, no, you know, I've been waiting for this for 2 years now. So I'm hoping we can pull the trigger on a design or some kind of plan at least this year. I know things take time, but you know, even if you got, you know, 25,000 square feet and it's multiple stories, I mean that could be a real benefit to the town. You know, and I'm all for a private-public partnership where we don't have to use as many funds since we own the land. So I'm glad that's being explored. And, you know, this will be a community-wide conversation, but, you know, we've owned this now for, I think, 3+ years. And, you know, this one seems to be could be a lot quicker to move on than Oakland Road as far as once it gets delineated. And if we can get that in June, whether we form a committee, an ad hoc or not, but that would probably be the right path. And explore what are the different private-public possible partnerships that would probably fall more in line with recreation uses than not recreation uses. But, you know, well, let's see where it goes. I don't want it to take 2 years, but, you know, I'm glad we're starting the conversation finally.
Awesome. Chris?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I agree with Carlo. I haven't been waiting as long as he has for this, but once again, it goes back to my mindset. We should do something with it, or sell it off, or whatever we can do. So I like the idea. It doesn't seem as if Reading Disney World would end up fitting over here. But still, it would definitely be something that would benefit the town. No real parking issues, and it's right off the highway. So I mean, it's super easy to get to. So I'm excited to see what will come of it.
Thanks, Jackie.
So So as the new member, I realize that these things take time, but yeah, I'm excited to do what I can to help.
Great. So a couple thoughts. The idea of maybe an ad hoc committee or something, I think is pretty interesting in terms of kind of guiding it ahead, so maybe we should think about that. I also like the idea of a second floor and the possibilities with that. As we're thinking about different kinds of facilities, partnership arrangements, things like that, recreational kinds of activities, if in fact the recal comes back and there is a push more toward senior center, community center and space, I wonder if there's a way to have that as a mix. It's not a residential activity at all. It is, I'm gonna put it in the recreation bucket, actually. But maybe there's an opportunity there as well that's worth exploring. So I think, similar to my last comments, the idea of having some options to play with would be really interesting. You've got it laid out here as about a 30,000 square foot footprint, which is great. So, big but not huge, pretty substantial. There's a lot of potential fields or building or see what we can do with it. So glad to have it move ahead. Let's see what we can do to help, and maybe a subcommittee is a way to move it ahead faster than just kind of general. But it sounds like next steps really are, you wanna take a couple of passes at this and then maybe come back, and maybe that's the time to get a committee together.
Well, I mean, I think in my short experience in Reading, I feel like ad hoc committees and particularly park is a good example. Is a really fantastic way to engage residents, board members, right? I mean, and as stakeholders. I feel like it might be a good opportunity to do it at the start, right? So that we don't leave anyone behind, if you will, and the concerns from all stakeholders are from the start. So maybe the first step is to create this committee.
Great. So why don't we put on our next agenda to kind of discuss the structure, who we want to have involved, and get it going.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks, Fidel. We are at 7:30. So why don't we move to the first public hearing? Chris, do you have the hearing notice that you can read in, please?
Yep, 1 second. Hey, Karen.
Extra spacing this evening, huh? It's like we're missing something.
To the inhabitants of the town of Reading, please take notice that the Select Board of the town of Reading will hold a public hearing on May 3rd, 2022 at 7:30 in the Select Board meeting room at Town Hall, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Mass. We're also available remotely on Zoom to act on a new annual all-alcohol restaurant liquor license for Reading Foods LLC DBA Half and Half at 607 Main Street, Reading, Mass. Copy of the proposed documents regarding this topic will be in the Select Board packet on the website at www.readingma.gov. All interested parties are invited to the hearing in person or remotely via Zoom, or may submit their comments in writing or by email prior to 6 p.m. on May 3rd, 2022 to townmanager@ci.reading.ma.us by order of Fidel Maltez, Town Manager.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
So I guess, could we invite the applicants to come up? Perhaps if you could introduce yourselves to the board, that would be great. Yeah, come just a little bit closer to this crazy device here in the middle.
First of all, good evening, selectmen and all the board members, all the neighborhoods. So, we just came up with we already running a restaurant called Zucca Italian, the next door. So we thought we have a breakfast and lunch opening is there for us. So I said okay, let's try something. Then we just applied it, and basically I can introduce myself how we came into the field. Almost this is 30 years of my career. So I did a hospitality in India, and then I worked in a cruise lines, and then I worked in a Marriott Newton for 6 years, and then from 2010 we are running multiple restaurants so far. This is our 7th restaurant. So it's all a partnership based we are doing it. So I hope if I get this one, I will be doing the best.
Fantastic, thank you. So you're already in the community, which
In
is
the community,
wonderful
yes.
with Zuka.
Almost like this is our 6th year, I think.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So far, I'm doing well, thanks, and supporting by the town, that's it. Thanks. In the pandemic, I did great.
Very good.
I'm so thankful for that, you know.
Awesome. And you're proposing, I think it was
Half and half,
half and half, so breakfast till 3?
breakfast till 3.
Timing?
Yes.
Great. Super. Board members, questions, comments?
Thank you. I mean, your restaurant gets many accolades via social media and in person. So you're doing a great job there. Do you have any experience in the breakfast lunch? Has any of your concepts been in breakfast lunch?
I do. Actually, that's the thing. The first job I started in Newton Marriott as a breakfast.
Okay.
So 6 years I was there. Like I was promoted at the end as a kitchen supervisor. Then we decided what when do we open a restaurant like that. So from there we started like multiple restaurants now.
Okay.
So this is our breakfast lunch is like second one.
And are you running them? When you say your 7th, is your 7th all together, or is you've bought, sold, and how many are you running now?
At present it's like 5.
5.
5. We
Okay.
sold 2.
Okay.
Yes.
So 5 restaurants, and you're good with the staffing and all that stuff, and
We are doing our best. We are putting our more pressures.
yes, yes,
Keep the family on the side. I'm doing my best.
right. No, thank you. I just, and what was your interest in an alcohol license for a breakfast lunch?
Actually, first initially I know that like a breakfast nobody's going to consume liquor or something. Then down the road, like maybe a year later, if I approach with the town, like do a dinner. So that time it will be useful.
Right.
And for the lunch, like many of the, all the guests are they looking for like mimosas, Bloody Mary, like that. So I said like, okay. But the time is so short, but in future, I will definitely expand to the dinner too.
Well, it would come more in handy for brunch.
Yes, brunch, yes.
All right, thank you.
Chris?
Thanks, Mark. You answered a question. I've always called it Zucca, and it's really
Zucca.
Zucca. I'm still gonna call it Zucca now, because it is what it is for me. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure you're aware of the alcohol time limits and whatnot.
Yes.
And judging by the way that Zucca is run, I think that, if it can run anywhere close to the way that you guys have been doing it, it's gonna be incredible. So, and I would like to commend Isaac over there, is probably the best waiter in all of
He's supposed to be
Thailand.
here today, but like the restaurant is busy now. So I have to skip him.
We're good.
But yeah, he does a bang-up job there, and I know you guys do as well, so I'm happy to see this be successful for you guys, so thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Karen?
Thank you for investing in Reading once again, and I think it's great that you're able to take over the space next door. I was really happy to see the all clear and basically the chief of police blessings that and the paperwork looked great. So
Thank you.
I have no further questions, and I wish you the best of luck.
Because my landlord is the biggest supporter for me. He said like, do it.
That's great.
Awesome. Jack?
Kudos to you and your team for, surviving and thriving over these past couple of years, and thank you for the expansion. You have high praise in our household from Zuka, which there's a picky eater in our household. I'm not the one, but
No, basically our concept is like this one, we are, nobody has it, like a breakfast wise, nobody has like a live omelette station. So we did like a different concept. I said like, okay, we'll do it. So everyone comes there, they can come and see like lively, we cook there, they can place an order like that. So,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, no questions.
Thank you.
So the one thing that I guess is a little bit of a question for me is just this notion of lunchtime and liquor kind of exclusively. So I know that you understand how important that is to the town in terms of monitoring that and
That is
doing
true.
it appropriately. Just ask that you be very vigilant with that, particularly at lunch, and hopefully this works out well, you expand to dinner and things go forward from there.
Yes.
Great.
So this is the big thing. Initially, I understand that like it was like quite couple of hours only for the liquor. Then I said like, okay, maybe once the employee, I get everyone good in shape, then I will come and approach for the dinner also. So then it makes my,
Makes your job easier.
Good, yeah. Sounds great. Any comments from the public? Questions? Yes, please.
I'd just like to say as the landlord.
Do you mind stepping up? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Please identify yourself, Phil.
Phil DeCaro. He's been a tenant of mine for, how many years now?
Close to 6 years.
6 years, and I'm here to just verify the character and the relationship that we've had. And although Fusion was a great restaurant in itself, he had a little staffing problem that he can overcome with the people that he has been associated with. So I wholeheartedly support anything this man does. He's a man of character, and he's, as she said, he's invested in Reading, so I support him 100%.
But really, town helped me a lot. When we started the Zuka, it was like Restaurante Pavarotti. So we kept the same name. And first 2 years, I was struggling. Like at the time, one of the board selectmen, like they came over there, they said like, don't go from here. And this is my word. You stay here. Then I said like, what I need to do. Then I tried to change the name. From the day one, I'm so far success.
So there's an anti-Pavarotti movement.
Little bad comments on that side, but I didn't realize that.
I'm very glad that you're successful from it,
Yes.
so that's all good. Any other public comments?
There's one.
Yes, please. Please identify yourself online.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jay Jackson. I have a public comment about the Fusion. I really love that restaurant, and I thought they had some really amazing dishes, including some of the best hollandaise sauce that I've ever had. So I would hope that the owner could maybe try to continue some of those delicious recipes that they had. I don't know if that's in his plans, but I would just like to say that my wife and I liked it. We walk there almost once a week.
This thing I got in the email
too, so I hope you will.
You understand we can't make that a condition for the liquor license.
No, but I just wanted to add it. It was an opportunity. Thank you.
I'll try my best.
Thank you. Caitlin, any other comments? No one? All right, anyone else in the room? All right, can we get a motion to close the hearing?
Yep, move to close the hearing regarding the liquor license application for Reading Foods.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carlo. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of closing the hearing, raise your hand. Opposed? 0. Okay, the hearing is closed. Board members, any other discussion before we move to a vote on the license? Please, have a motion.
Move to approve the new annual all alcohol license application for Reading Foods DBA Half and Half at 607 Main Street as presented.
Second.
Thanks, Carlo. Any questions, comments? None appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of granting the license, raise your hand. Opposed? We are 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Coming in. All right, so we are, I have it at 7:45, yeah?
7:45.
And actually, the hearing's already open, we never closed it, so I think we're okay. Okay, so folks, here's where we are now. We are at the continuation of the public hearing on the recommendations made by Park. And so this is an opportunity for people who have questions or comments about that to speak. After that, we'll close the hearing, the board will have a discussion, and then we have a series of, we'll look at the recommendations that were made. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to my earlier note just to clarify what it is that we are gonna do. Okay, so tonight we will vote on only the park recommendations that have also been reviewed by the PTTTF. It's mainly establishing the parking areas and regulations, as well as the kiosks in the 2 central lots. We won't be voting on any parking permit fees, parking fines, or business permit fees this evening. Those are gonna be further explored by Deputy Chief Amendola, the PTTTF, and then town staff. And then we'll set an agenda item to talk about those in the near future. So if there are residents, interested parties that would like to speak, please, you can raise your hand, we'll call on you. I just ask that you try to keep your comments to 2 minutes and just let us know your name and address. So any members of the public in the room that would like to speak? Mr. Haley. Oh, yeah, do you have a quorum here?
Public comment period, or should we start our meeting? Should we start the park meeting, or I thought you were just calling for public comment?
We are, but if you have a quorum, it
Okay,
is the chance.
Did you say, okay, so we're starting the park meeting now, or,
Yes.
okay, so I will officially call the park meeting to order.
Thank you.
And do we need a second or anything like that?
Nope, you're in order. Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. Chris Haley, 71 Tennyson Road, speaking on behalf of myself and a small business owner in the downtown. The idea about the kiosk, I'm in favor of because by us having them, it will give us the foundation that we need over there to build upon it. We can always adjust the hours, we can always adjust the rates, et cetera, but without them, we can't do any of that. So I think that as long as the businesses in the downtown have places for their customers to park, I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. It might be annoying to use an app on a phone, et cetera, for the hour or two, whatever, but knowing that you're going to have a place to park instead of the current narrative that there's never a place to park, I think is worth the 30 seconds to 2 minutes that it's going to take for this to be implemented. Like I said, the times can change and whatnot. You can have up to an hour free. That makes sense for CVS. At the Brandy Court lot, it doesn't make that much sense because of the pediatrics and all of those things are more longer term things than like having dinner or CVS, et cetera. So I think those have to be tweaked where one lot is a 1 hour, the other is the 2 hour scenario. But once again, you have to have the foundation for any of that to happen. If not, I mean, it's pointless to mention it. And I'll just like to mention that back in February of 2021, I spoke with the owner of Venetian Moon, and she wasn't open for lunch because of parking. So hopefully this being instituted, there can be the free spots during the day and whatnot, and then this way here, maybe they'll open for lunch. Other businesses in town, et cetera, might see an uptick in business because theoretically more people can come downtown because there won't be that stigma that there's nowhere to park anymore. But once again, just need the foundation and we can go from there. $100,000 for kiosk is better than $5 to $15 million for a parking garage. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would like to speak in the room? Please. Come forward if you would to the owl and introduce yourself.
Good evening. I would first like to take this opportunity to thank the Select Board for having the foresight in establishing the Parking Advisory Recommendation Committee. My name is Tom O'Connor. I live on Van Norden Road. I've been a resident and a business owner since 1977. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the committee, Karen Rose Gillis, Elizabeth Whitelam, Assistant Chair, Sarah B. Sorry, Sarah, I'm not going to attempt it. John Weston, Jay Jackson, Dan Dewar, Selectman Chris Haley, and of course, our Chairman Bernie Hahn, who has led us through some late evening discussions. It was a pleasure to serve with all of you on my first ad hoc committee. Having been a business owner and resident since 1977, I thought it was about time to get involved. I do believe the committee would agree that some of the discussions sometimes got heated. But at the end of the meeting, we respected all individual opinions. PowerPoint presentation reflects how a group of diverse individuals can come together and compromise for the good of the community. I have made my position on kiosk clear in the last Select Board meeting. I will not reiterate it. And town meeting has spoken by allocating $110,000 for their purchase. I would, however, ask the Select Board if they vote to move forward with kiosk, a project which I feel will take some months to implement, that they review the daily work of the town parking enforcement officer, a position which is now in place in regards to any parking movement success. It has been my pleasure to have been selected to serve on this town committee and see the democratic process at work. I would be remiss if I did not also thank two very important people supporting our committee, Julie Mercer and Andrew McNeil. I thank them both very much. Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me this time to speak.
Thank you very much. Other public comment, please, Deputy Chief.
I don't know if I should wait till now, Liam, but I just wanted to say thank you so much to the park committee. I got to be a part of several other meetings, and the complexity of parking is nothing you'll understand until you actually do it or sit here. We've worked on solutions for years to try to fix it. I think the park committee fully understands the issues downtown, and as a member of the PTTF and the police department, we fully support what they're recommending to you this evening. We feel we can enforce what they're asking. And just want to say from PTTF, they did an amazing job, and I thank them for volunteering to help us. And Julie for all her leadership, and Andrew, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other people who'd like to speak in the room? Anyone online?
Yes, Caroline Gauthier.
Caroline, please introduce yourself and you're on.
Hi, I'm Caroline Gauthier. I'm the owner of Reading Foot and Ankle Specialist at 50 Haven Street. I'm also a resident of Reading on Washington Street. I just wanted to address the board about a few concerns I have. So my practice is located in a Lower Haven Street, and most of my patients actually use the Brady Ford parking lot. I just wanted to share with the board a few concerns I have. First, the stigma of not having enough parking in that particular lot happened about 3-4 years ago when the parking was changed from a 2-hour free parking to a 4-hour parking, is when we started to have patients experience issue parking, and when the local construction workers started to use that lot. So I'd be curious to see what would happen with that lot if the time allowed to park would be moved to 2 hours, and that a reinforcement officer could make sure that this is respected by the patrons or customers parking in that lot, and see if it's still an issue parking in that particular lot. I must have to share that I'm really against the kiosk. My population of patients, a big population, is all Reading resident, and I serve the senior resident of Reading is a big part of my population, and I really worry about kind of the headache and stress about coming to my office now and having to get on the iPhone and an app or put a license plate with a credit card in the machine. These patients have mobility reduction, they're senior citizens, and that will be a big issue for my patient population. I joined a few of the park meeting, and I was online at the last board meeting, and I know that a lot of the parking around the train station and the area will become free parking, but my patient cannot walk. My patient have wounds, have pins in their feet, they've had a broken ankle, a broken foot, and so I also serve the senior citizens that have mobility reduction, and I also have patients with disabilities that are in wheelchairs that can really not even walk on the train station is not an option for them. So I actually looked back in my database, and I was trying to see how long my patients are actually in my office, and most of them are less than an hour. But I have about 20% of my patients that either mobility reduction, condition that require a procedure, and have to be in my office for about 65 to 70 minutes. So now these patients are going to end up having to pay for 2 hours, which is going to be very detrimental for my practice. And so if you go and move forward with a kiosk, I really ask that you consider at least putting a 2-hour free parking in that Brady Court lot to allow my practice to be able to thrive and serve the patient of Reading and continue to do so.
Very good. Thank you very much. Caitlin, do we have other folks that would like to speak?
I don't think so, nope.
Anyone else in the room? Maybe while the hearing is still open, I'm wondering if Julie or Bernie, you might want to address a couple of the questions that came up in terms of training was brought up by a couple of folks, and I know that's part of the plan. And mobility and disability, and I know, Julie, you addressed that the other evening, and please.
Sorry, I think I was just gonna repeat what we've said. Anybody with a handicap placard and can park anywhere, any space for free all day in Reading, so any space that's available.
Do they actually have to use the kiosk if they have the placard?
Nope, if they have the handicap placard, they are all set.
Great, thank you. Is it worth addressing anything else, or the training,
Yeah,
sorry?
sure.
Yeah,
So
please.
many of the companies that we've been interviewing, actually all of the ones we've interviewed offer training when they roll out the kiosks. So either, I think they call them like ambassadors, who will come and like stand by the kiosk for a couple days each week or a couple weeks, like we can negotiate that. And then also staff will be available to help. So when they're first implemented, we can be there to meet and greet and kind of show people how they work. And then we can also, like, one company allows for custom wraps on the boxes that can have signage and instructions. And I think the basic model comes with instructions also, because that's kind of important to having the system work. So there are a variety of options. We can also have, we can hand things out, we can have postcards, we can have brochures, we can, we'll do the normal outreach that we do as staff to like let people know. And, we'll work with the police department too, to like make sure that, we're rolling it out in a fair and equitable way at the beginning while people are adjusting to it and getting used to it. Maybe being a little more flexible with the ticketing and the punitiveness if it ends up being like that. So, I'm not being very articulate, but you know what I'm getting at. And then with regards to accessibility, so for people who like don't have placards or hang tags and maybe would still need to interface with the kiosk, we'll look to install it in a place that's handicap accessible and to get a model that would be considered handicap accessible.
Great. And to be clear, street parking is still at no cost.
Right.
It's just in the Brandy Court.
Right, and exactly, yeah, so that's a very good point to make. So the parking on Haven Street would still be regulated as it is, so there would be 2-hour free parking along Haven Street, and in areas nearby the 50 Haven building.
Thank you. Last chance on the public hearing. Any last comments? Anyone online? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard a soft voice, but.
No, that's his phone.
Oh, that's phone. Okay, very good. Board members, anything before we close the public hearing, or should we proceed to close the hearing?
I think we're good to go.
Please, if you have a motion.
Move to close the public hearing regarding downtown parking modifications.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carlo. Any discussion? None appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please raise your hand. Opposed? We are 5-0, so the public hearing is closed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we'll go through votes, and then we can have discussion before, during, and I guess after as well. So, Phil, these are organized in 3 groups. Do I have that correctly?
They are organized in 4 groups.
4 groups? I didn't have it right. Okay.
They're organized in 4 groups. And they are organized, separated by who we believe should vote on them. I don't know if I should go further than that. Should I
No, I
expand?
think we're good.
Can expand if you want me to?
Is it 5 groups or 4?
Should be 4 groups. Oh, sorry, 5. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
5 groups.
Okay.
Correct.
5 groups, all right.
I think it's 4 groups.
I thought it was 4.
4 groups.
I have
I see 5.
It's 4.
Combined?
It's item 2, item 3, item 4.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Look at the numbers.
4 groups. 4 groups. So the
4 groups, 5 numbers.
yes, that's correct. 4 groups. Just to elaborate, the group number 1 are those amendments that are grouped together, and all members can vote. Group number 2 are those amendments that all members should vote on, except for Select Board Member Haley. Group number 3 is amendments that all members should vote for, except for Select Board Member Bocci. And then group number 4 is those amendments where all members can vote, except for Select Board Member Haley and Select Board Member Bocci. Hopefully that was clear.
And so just to be clear for everyone in the public, the conflict of interest laws require that where there's even a potential for misinterpretation of things, that the preferred path is for those members not to participate in that vote. And that's the reason why we have different categories this evening. And Fidel has done a great job with staff to figure out how to organize those so that we can proceed through them. So why don't we take a look at group 1? And I guess first is to see, are there any questions in the group 1 batch?
Can you, just a logistical question, can you please direct us to a page number in our packet?
Yep,
or?
so group 1 starts on page 97 in the packet. 98, sorry.
Yeah, 97 is the heading.
Yep.
Got it, thank you.
And what you'll see is at the top of the heading, there's an amendment number. Basically the following page is a certification of that the amendment has been made, and it just continues. So group 1 is a series of 7 amendments. Amendment 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, and 14. And all the work was Julie and Andrew, so we appreciate it.
We always do. I actually have a question, if I could, on page 104 in our packet, which is amending 12.1 Public Ways Resident Parking Permit to Employee Parking Permit. You guys have that page?
Yep. Could you pull up page 104 in the packet, Caitlin? Thank you.
Give me a minute to share that one. Great. So my question is this. So it's converting resident parking to employee parking permit. Does that exclude resident permit? Or, so it's only employee parking, 2 hours or employee parking?
Yeah, that's a, I mean, obviously, it's a reduction in the resident-only / commuter parking. So, you know, we did have a lot of discussion about that and agreed that while post-COVID has not returned to pre-COVID levels yet, we do feel that it needs to be addressed because some of us who know the demand on the resident-only / commuter parking remember when, you know, if you're not there at 7:30, you can't get a space, then you're driving into town. And I think that's the biggest concern that personally I had on it. So I think we just need to, you know, keep an eye on the demand. And it's very difficult to know how many people drive, can't find a space, and then have to drive to, you know, you can't really find a space until you get this really Wellington, Oak Grove, or anyway. So that's the background.
Okay, and it's 42 spots along Vine Street. On the west side of Vine Street from High to the end of 120 Vine in the business district. Did you get any public concern with that? Resident concern?
The public, the commuting public was not particularly attentive to these meetings.
How about the non-commuters? The residents didn't have that problem with this?
The residents being the people that live in these areas? Or?
Yeah, closest to that Vine Street.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was previously resident only,
Right.
right? So they would most likely have their own parking in their own properties.
Okay, so
That never came up, but Deputy Chief may have a comment on that.
Most of our parking complaints for employees is the large medical facilities down near that area. So we, even pre-COVID, I don't remember Vine Street being full ever. No one wanted to use that down the end. So we thought this would be a great place for the employees, especially all those medical facilities, to have right there. I mean, it's the furthest one away, but they claim they need it, so we think that's a good option to give them.
good.
We did discuss whether we should market resident only and employee, but that was, we discussed it and it was deemed that was not, it was harder to enforce.
Thank you. Those are my only questions on, let me just make sure of that on group one. Yes. Okay, so Chris, do you have it as a one motion, or is it's a motion that says this and this and this and this?
It's move to approve safety amendments and then 22-5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, so it's referencing the ones there. Okay, so before we do that, any other comments, questions? Chris?
I guess I would just like to add that I didn't even know this area even existed till we went through it on the park committee and saw it on the map, and it's like, it is out there.
Yeah.
Like,
Goes down.
so, yes, and I know Dowd doesn't have enough employee placards already to begin with, and without increasing the ratio of commercial spots, we can't increase the amount of permits that we can give. So this will help ease the pain on that area.
Thank you. All right, so let's have a motion, please, on the group one.
Move to approve safety amendments 2022-5, 2022-6, 2022-7, 2022-10, 2022-12, 2022-13, and 2022-14.
Thank you. Any discussion? So I'm just scrolling through to make sure. Got to 14, and that's the last one. Okay, any further discussion on group one? Not appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of approving those, what are these called, amendments, changes? They're called amendments. Safety amendments in group one, please raise your hand. Opposed? We're approved 5-0. Thank you. Okay, group two. So this is the group, Chris, you are not able to vote on.
Correct.
Can I see first, is any questions from the board on anything in group two? Carl?
Yes, thank you. I would like, as much as I appreciate, well, not as much, I really appreciate all the work that town staff over the past several years and the park committee has gone through, but I am not 100% sold on the kiosks yet. I would like to propose an amendment or a recommendation that we put everything else into place along with our parking enforcement officer, and we wait 6 months before thinking about purchasing and installing. Hopefully by then the restaurant will come online at the post office. I walked the neighborhood yesterday and it seems like the salon is open next to Fat Larry's, even though the awning's not up. I wasn't aware that was open yet. That's gonna have a major impact on that street. And I heard some concerns on some business owners that they're not totally against the kiosks, but they'd like to see how well enforcement will work. And I think that'll be kind of new for us to do that and have that in place. So again, I understand the whole aspect of the data and moving people around, and especially not having the employees in the lot. But I would like, as much support on waiting 6 months on the kiosks. Other than that, I have no other issues with the other two amendments.
Any feedback on? Sorry, is it three? Or is it-
Yes. So the kiosk is 15, correct? Julie, and Andrew, and Abdullah? Yeah.
Oh,
The amendment that focuses on the kiosk.
Yes, sorry,
is-
15,
yeah.
yes, 15, only one, my apologies.
Other board members have comments?
Just, so town meeting approved a budget, town meeting approved the kiosks. So, your concern is noted. I don't share those same concerns, with the kiosks. I have no other comments.
Can staff please remind us how many parking spaces are in the two lots where we're considering kiosks?
Sure, yeah, I think there are about 58 spaces in the lot behind CVS and about 85 spaces in the Brandy Court lot.
Thanks,
Give or
Jake.
take a few.
Thank you. And then, I guess, Julie, just another question, or maybe for Fidel, in terms of a relationship with the kiosk vendor, how, and also with our own process, how would we go about, and how quickly could we, responsively, could we adjust timeframes within either of the lot if the data showed that, or if we decided to do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the first part of that question is like how flexible we can be and how quickly we can do it. And so it would be, we would learn the system and we would have the back end report or back office reporting as they call it. And so we could see if changes were needed. We wouldn't need the vendor to do it. But if your motion includes timeframes and a pricing scheme and it gets put in the regulations, then it would be a select board hearing to change anything. So, which may be a perfect way to do it.
Can I follow up your question? Assuming that took place, what's the time required from approval to actually implementing it?
So just rolling out the kiosks like the first time or approving the change and then implementing?
Change.
Okay, so for the change, I mean, I would think we could do it pretty quickly from like our little portal that we're using on our computers where we see the back office. I mean, the way the vendors make it seem is like we could change it really easily anytime we want, right? If we didn't have the hurdle of like coming and having a hearing.
So it's doing that.
It could be like instantaneous, I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then probably changing signage a little bit would be the other thing that we'd want to do.
Right.
Just to let people know.
they love us giving them more signs to put up.
Unlimited sign budget.
No, you're right. It sounded like when Andover Police, when I talked to them with the kiosk, like they are going through some changes with fees as well. They could change it. So it really is just coming in front of you, having it on the agenda, and voting for a change in prices anytime.
Good. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought I'd follow.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I tend to agree that the turnover problem is something that a kiosk could potentially address, but I do share the concern that we've heard in past meetings that we're of the impact of some of the business owners, especially those whose patrons kind of fit into the time frame where these might become a disincentive. So I guess I'm trying to think of ways, and I know it's a lot easier said than done, but ways for us to be able to be responsive to that.
So let me, if I could weigh in too, a couple of things. One is, I think that this was an important part of the recommendation in terms of how to get our arms around parking. And the ability to gather data and see how long people are staying and what's going on gives us the opportunity to make changes and to adjust. So if something we did isn't quite right, we can tweak it and get it working. But the problem is so severe that I'm not comfortable kind of taking half a step instead of taking the whole step. We have full control. If we find that they're just crazy, we could stop using them, I suppose. But I think that they're gonna give us a lot of data, a lot of help. And I think that we're gonna be able to wrangle this problem reasonably well if we kind of do what the committee has recommended. So I'm strongly in favor of moving ahead with it, to follow what town meeting did in allocating the funds. I think, last I heard, there might even be good news, it might not cost every penny that got allocated, which is even better, as a story. Is it dramatically less, or is it slightly less, or do you have a handle right now?
So I'm working on getting pricing for the kiosks, handheld enforcement devices, and then the third party, or it's not really third party, the contract we would have with the mobile payment app. And then sometimes a third party vendor is required to make the enforcement technology speak to the kiosk, speak to the mobile app. So there potentially could be 4 like separate vendors that I'm dealing with, which could get us closer to that 110,000. But the initial quotes that I've gotten for the kiosks and the handheld devices, in at least one case, came in a lot less than I anticipated based on the price sheet that I was given by Metropolitan Area Planning Council. So.
Thanks. No, that was really the question. So my gut is to move this ahead. This is a situation where there are 4 of us voting, so it'd be better if it wasn't 2-2 in the end. But if it is, it is. And at 2-2, we would not be moving ahead, right? So I've made my case. I don't know, any other comments? Kyle?
Thank you. Just to make it clear, I'm recommending a delay. I'm not against the kiosks, but this is gonna be a pretty steep learning curve for the businesses and for the residents. So I think personally a phased-in approach would be better, again, my opinion. And can I ask Julie a question?
Please.
So Julie, at the park presentation, or anyone from park can answer, there was a question about, other than the purchase of the kiosk, which we would own outright, correct? There's the third-party vendors. And if we decided, how long are the contracts, proposed contracts for the vendors?
Yeah, so Christine actually was really helpful in that question at town meeting, because it is true that the town doesn't enter into any contracts for more than 3 years without town meeting approval.
More than 3, okay.
Yeah, so it would be not for not more than 3 years.
Right, thank you for that, that does come to mind, so. And another question would be is, what kind of grace period we would be giving the residents for no tickets, no violations?
So we have warnings that, when anything changes, we just write a warning to explain it. We could do 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you guys would like to see us do.
All right. So if this passes by 3-1, I would like some language that we have a very aggressive campaign on educating the public. And within 2 weeks of launching, that we flyer the cars ahead of time. And let the businesses know when this is coming online. And then at least a 1-month grace period of no fines. Or maybe if you can track the warnings of it, like one warning.
Right.
One warning, right, 1 warning per vehicle. And then I would like, again, if this passes, this particular aspect, at least maybe every 6 months, that we get some information from PTTF on how it's going, have our violations gone up? Is the problem being mitigated a bit? I know it's gonna be hard to tell, early on, but we all know this is managing the parking, it's not solving the parking. And that's why I think personally waiting 6 months for that salon to fully come online, maybe they are fully online, the restaurant to come online. I know Street building is a long ways away, but that's gonna be another huge impact to that neighborhood. And I'm not saying wait that long, cause that's years away, but the Chronicle building won't be up in 6 months, but that's one other commercial tenant on the first floor. We don't know what's gonna happen at the Rite Aid building on the end of Haven Street. So 6 months is not a long time, but that's what I would support myself, but I understand I may be outnumbered, but I'd like to implement those provisions of at least 1 month or 1 violation per car is waived.
Can I ask one question? Do you have an approximate timeline, Julie? Assuming there was a go, how long would it actually take to get everything installed before we could even start things?
Yeah, so I had put together a timeline like earlier on in this process, and I don't remember if I had anticipated like the vote this month or a different month, but I was thinking, like, for just like the regulations, like not the kiosks, you know, there's time for the DPW to order the signage that's needed, if there's any like extra striping or just like clarifying or like redoing some of the striping that's there to make it more clear. Some of those pieces will take time, like for the police department to order more permits, that takes some time, so there will be at least like a couple months to even get those changes implemented, and then kiosks are gonna take longer because we're still vetting the vendors, I'm still working out the contracts, and so I was initially thinking like I might plan, like I should say, PTTF might plan to roll everything out like in January, cause that's when the permits typically renew and kind of have everything. But that could be, that's flexible, I'm not married to that at all.
It's 7 months, just counting, it's beginning,
7 months.
so. It's like you're already getting what you're asking for without even asking for it.
No, because that's implementing everything, she said, not just the kiosks. That's all the enforcement.
But if other pieces wanted to be sooner, like, you know, I can't speak on behalf of DPW, and I don't know if they have like, if they're facing any like delays, cause everyone's facing delays, you know, like we could try to push some things out sooner. I think the permits would, I don't wanna speak for
Yeah, no, so once you vote yes on this, we have to get it rolling because you now changed the traffic rules and regs. Not the kiosks per se, because they're not here, but usually when I'm sending something to the DPW, with this large amount, this will take like 4 weeks to change over. And we will explain that thoroughly in social media and anything we can if all these changes are voted on. But it will take a few weeks, but we can't withhold it if you vote yes, because now it's in the traffic rules when I go back to work tomorrow.
And what about the permits? Like, would you order more employee permits?
Yeah, if we now
sooner?
have more,
Okay,
then we
alright.
can just get those ordered, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I stand corrected on that.
Okay, and then, sorry, just one last one, from, assuming that those implemented 3-4 weeks, whatever, in terms of vetting suppliers, getting that set up, getting things installed, things like that. Can you give us an idea of how many months that is, just so we understand?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the kiosk would definitely lag that by at least a couple of months. I'd have to look back and see what the vendors have told me about shipping and timing, but when my memory is, it's gonna take a few months to get that.
And then we could decide when to turn them on, how to do the training and things like that. We'd have,
Yeah,
Once they're
exactly,
already-
like there's a
we're
lot
doing
of
the program,
components
right?
we'll have to figure out, and then we would probably wanna plan it strategically around like other things we're working on, or, you know, just so we make sure we have the staff capacity to be doing the kind of education and outreach and like robust, you know, like you guys are talking about, so.
I think that this would help Carla's point too, like Brandy Court, for instance, we have had enforcement there. It's a lot of employees that park there all day, we take their ticket and time. So I think if we, you know, start out with all these new extra employee spaces and try to get them to change their behavior, park in these spaces that now we're allocating for them, that will become a customer kiosk lot, and that would turn them over for their businesses.
No, I just thought Carlos' suggestion was great. What I'm hearing from you is nobody wants to get a bunch of tickets like with no warning, and I think I'm hearing you don't wanna get a bunch of calls from people upset that they didn't know this was coming and now they've got tickets, and that's a very real concern, and I would second the notion that let's have a robust public relations campaign, public awareness campaign, and to your point, to phase it in, Carlo, that's a great question. It brought up some information, realistically talking about tactically what it's gonna take to implement this, so it isn't like a week turnaround, poof, it's done, so.
No, correct.
I'm still in favor of this, but I appreciate you asking for that, it's a good idea.
Just to piggyback on what Deputy Chief Amendola said, and that's where I'm coming from this, is that all the regulations besides the kiosks are gonna change a lot of the landscape of the downtown and the two lots themselves. So, and again, I'm not against the kiosks. I think to change behavior takes time. And some people might be willing to take the ticket. Probably most won't. Hopefully the business owners will have, some meetings and some discussions with their employees. Okay, here's where we're parking now, but so if that behavior changes like we want it to, and all this work that town staff has done and the committee's done, to me, it's worth waiting 6 short months to see how that goes. And it's not the money aspect for me, it's not the $100,000, $80,000, whatever it is. It's just the stigma of parking kiosks in downtown Reading. You know, we can't compare ourselves to Andover. Some people said Salem, Newburyport. We are nothing like those communities. You know, Andover has a robust downtown. We have maybe, robust light, and so no other towns like us, Wakefield, Stoneham, Melrose, have parking kiosks. And I'm concerned about the business owners that with the stigma of a kiosk, just the words of it, well, I'll just go to another CVS, I'll just go to another place for lunch. You're gonna meet someone for lunch, whoa, can't find, we now know there's kiosks, even though that's not the only place to park, but that's where they prefer to park, because they're not in the street, and not about the traffic. Well, we'll just go meet in Wakefield for lunch. And we'll just, pick a scenario. So
Where they have
that's
kiosks.
my concern. What?
Where they have kiosks in Wakefield, right?
No, they don't.
They don't have any parking kiosks in Wakefield? I was
No.
pretty sure. Okay, my mistake, I was pretty sure by the sign. Sorry,
So
I
let's-
thought they
let-
did
let-
have little parking lots.
Let Carla finish, sorry.
Yeah, so that's where I'm asking for a delay. That's the reason, not,
Yep.
We'll get more data. We'll see how many violations there are. But again, that's, she kind of helped me echo what I wanted to say a little bit better on the behavioral changes that were needed and the stigma of having kiosks. And I know it could generate revenue, we could have money to support the downtown, and I'm all for that. But I'm just asking for a bit of a delay. I'm not asking for a year, I'm asking for 6 months. After all the signs have been put up, all the employer permits have been getting up. Now, 6 months from today, if I get lucky on this, is 6 months from when everything is implemented but the kiosk. We review it again. We'll have a lot of information from traffic enforcement and PTTF. And then the money's been already approved. We don't have to go back to town meeting. And then we can decide, it'll be the same body, the 5 of us right here. Unfortunately, the 4 of us on this particular issue. So I'll leave it at that.
Jackie, any feedback?
No.
Okay, so my gut still is that we have a plan in place that is gonna address this problem on multiple fronts. It's a significant problem that we've all been talking about that we want to alleviate. We have probably a really good solution in hand. We have the flexibility to adjust in any way we want to. I think we wanna put them in as soon as we possibly can. When we turn them on, we could have a little more flexibility on. But I think they should be in place ASAP, and let's get this solution done. We not only can encourage employees to park in the new spots, but it may be that we find very quickly that there's a small number of people that are choosing to take a ticket, and they'll get one warning and then they'll be moving on. And we may have to address the fines as well. But I think that the concern has been, hey, let's open these spots up for businesses, get some turnover, let's do the job. I think we should finish it. Okay, so, any other comment? Chris?
Just my only one is my reason why I can't vote on this. My conflict is that I own my unit in the downtown behind Brandy Court. So that's why I'm not able to voice my opinions here as opposed to publicly earlier, so.
So we ready for a motion? I think we are. Please.
Move to approve safety amendments 2022-8, 2022-9, 2022-11, and 2022-15.
Second.
Any last discussion? Kyle?
Thank you, can we, so I can make my vote noted, because it's a group, can we pull 15 out
Good idea.
and vote on that separately? Thank you.
We'll do that. So can you amend your motion to be the ones that are included and not include 15?
So move to approve safety amendments 2022-8, 2022-9, and 2022-11.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on those? Not appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? We are 4-0-1 on that vote. And then can you give us a motion just for 15, amendment 15.
Yep, move to approve safety amendment 2022-15.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any last discussion? Appearing, let's take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? And we are 3-1-0 in approving. Group
3-1-1.
3-1-1, sorry. Thank you,
Oh,
sorry,
same, right.
3-1-1.
Excuse me, real quick, I
Yep.
I apologize. The things I mentioned and I think we'd all agree on, do we need to,
Yeah,
and how do we acknowledge that?
so can we just talk to you guys as we're doing it here? We think that the training is very important, making sure everything is very clear. The idea of warnings, and the one per, to the extent that can be controlled, is great. The idea of reviewing, I think we'll have the data, we can review it if we want every day. But certainly within 6 months, I would hope that we can have really meaningful information. I would bet much sooner than that in terms of what the behavior is. And maybe we can ask you to come back to the board on a regular basis with those updates, especially if you see something interesting going on.
Sure.
That'd be really helpful. Does that address?
Yeah, even just an email, we don't have to take board time necessarily, but just, and if we have questions, then we can invite. And then obviously the campaign we talked about education and what you do already,
Yeah, no, we will work.
Yeah. I don't know what flexibility the vendors can give us, but I've seen some other places where they can offer certificates of some sort that can kind of be redeemed in the system in lieu of payment. Early on especially, that might be something, or maybe we can work with all the businesses in the area, maybe they can get some of those. I'd like to encourage us to be flexible and figure out how to make sure this is a net gain for the businesses, not a net loss.
I wanted to ask we can ask the vendor too, like, it's for the people who are gonna end up doing the pay by phone, because that is what most people will end up doing, is what I've seen. Maybe they can practice but not pay that day for, at the beginning. So just get some training in using the app and for our free grace period. So we can look into that too.
Great, I think that'd be awesome. Bernie?
Is it okay if I speak?
Yes, please.
So the only other thing, as long as we're talking about data and analytics, it might be useful to get a period of controlled data. In other words, I think with Carlo's question, is there a certain metric that says we don't need the kiosks? I think that's what you're trying to get at. So in other words, if we had a period of data, let's say from now until just before the kiosks get implemented, and we say, okay, this is what the turnover is in this lot, and then we implement the kiosks, and we find that it either doesn't go up or it's obviously going to change, right? So then you could actually have something to talk about. Because if you don't do that now, you'll have nothing to compare against. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, and even just simple things like car count at different times of day would probably be very helpful
I
during
don't know how
control.
you do it, but it's a great idea. I don't have to do it.
Well, we weren't gonna draft you, but if you're volunteering.
It's a good job for an intern.
2.
I do have a couple questions about that because I would wonder if it might be more informative if the control period were after we implement some of the other changes, like we're really trying to determine whether we
Yeah, that
yes or not.
makes- yeah.
And then also I feel like that could be a lot of staff time and effort that I'm not sure we have the bandwidth for, unless we hired someone to help us do that. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, or maybe you guys wanna give it some thought and come back to the board with ideas and if it involves a period of time and getting a little bit of help, maybe we can find a small amount of funds for that.
Yeah, and I do think leveraging that data from the vendor, those businesses tend to work pretty focused on data, and maybe that's something we can leverage in our negotiation with them.
It's a great idea.
What would also be interesting is probably to work with the local businesses and help them with some of the training. And again, to the extent that the vendors can give us some passes to use in the system for a period of time. Maybe we give out some of the passes. Just kind of see how they're used. There, lots of creative ideas there. But you're hearing from the board, there's a lot of interest in how we do this now, just to make sure it's not too bad. Let's go to group 3 if we could. Any questions from board members on anything in group 3? Whoops, there are only one? There's only one.
Yeah, and I cannot vote on this one.
Correct. So Ash Street. No board questions or comments. Great. I'm gonna ask you to make a motion for group 3, please, Chris.
Move to approve safety amendment 2022-4.
Is there a second? Thanks, Karen. Any discussion on this one? None appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of 2022-4, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstain.
Yep.
4-0-1. Got it right that time. Group 4. And so group 4, just the 3 of us are voting on. Okay, let's take it. So this is, I do have a question here on 2022-2. It's not a question, I'm just clarification. What we're doing here is, this is the switch from what was 6 to 10:30 a.m. and making it now 6 to 9:30 a.m. Is that right? Okay. On 2022-16, can we put up the map? This one, it may not be many spaces, and that's why it's not an issue, but I looked at it, and basically this says 30-minute parking. And it says no person shall park a vehicle between 8 and 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on any of the streets or parts of the streets listed under Article 12. Please.
So we have 8 30-minute parking spaces in town. There's 4 in front of CVS, there's 2 on Main Street, and there's 2 on Haven Street. Every other regulation in town is 8 to 5. That's when our enforcement officer's here. For some reason, this one got voted in years ago, and I'm sorry, all of our regulations are Monday through Friday. This one regulation, for some reason, is Monday through Saturday from 9 to 9. So we're trying to change it and make it more uniform to when our parking enforcement officer's there. 30-minute spots are hard for the police officers while they're working at night to keep an eye on, so we're trying to make it better for the parking enforcement side.
And is Article 12 just the 30-minute spots?
Yeah, so Article 12 is a whole list of every street. So basically, if you vote to this, I would go to the streets that each one of those 30-minute spots are and change it to the new number, or to the other number, 8 to 5, yes.
Got it.
I know it's confusing the way it's all written, but
So these are existing 30-minute spots.
yes.
The issue is that they're they have their own little regulation.
Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9, yeah.
Okay, I feel better, because I looked at it and suddenly I thought it said every spot in town is now 30 minutes.
No, just the 8 that are already been approved. Weird timing.
Thank you. Okay, I'm good with those. Any other questions, board members? All right, Chris, can I ask you for a motion on group 4?
Move to approve safety amendments 2022-2 and 2022-16.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jackie. Comments, questions? None appearing. Let's take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? We are 3-0.
I abstain.
And 2 abstain. Sorry. Gee gods. Thank you. All right. I was negligent before. I didn't read the whole agenda. For some reason, I didn't turn the page over. I only read side 1.
Oh, good, we don't have to do it then.
So,
Isn't
no,
that how that
no, that's not how that works. So side 2.
On Thursday.
So we were gonna talk about Simon's Way and Oakland Road at 840, which we did.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda, we're gonna talk about representative of the select board.
Should we ask them to adjourn parking if they would like?
Yes, I think you guys are
We're going to stay, but
set with our thanks.
So you're asking me to adjourn the park meeting, right?
if you would like.
I would like to have a motion from one of my members to adjourn the park meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn the park meeting.
Second? Jay, thank you. And all in favor?
You have to do a roll call, sorry.
Yes, for me. I see Jay.
Yes.
And I don't know who else is on.
Chris,
Chris.
over here, this Chris.
Yes.
Okay. You guys are adjourned, thank you. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but it's at your option.
Well, I will celebrate this night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exciting. Thank you very much. Wow. I don't think we're gonna need to extend this again, right?
Congratulations.
We're good? We all done, right? You're done? Congratulations.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Andrew's the brains
All right, so
behind
we're gonna keep going on our agenda. So what I missed, what I didn't read, I apologize. So at 8:40, we're gonna talk about the land use. We've already done that, so we're running ahead on timing. We'll talk about the Memorial Day celebration, an Arbor Day proclamation, voting on the liaison assignments. I'd like to discuss select board office hours and a structure for that. Then we'll go to future agenda items and minutes. And then at approximately 9:35, although I'm gonna guess earlier, we'll be adjourning to executive session and not returning to regular session. So apologies for not reading that sooner. So let's go to member representation at the Memorial Day celebration. So I received a note from Kevin Baumiller, the Veterans Officer, asking if select board members would like to participate in the Memorial Day celebration. I heard from Jackie petitioned quickly that she would like to participate. I believe there are actually multiple activities taking place, or I'm not 100% sure of that. There's at least one. Maybe we should look at Kevin's note.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have that pulled up, but give me a second. I will.
And
Kaylin, I don't know if you can pull up the invite. I think the invite has it.
It does.
It's usually the parade, the proclamation, and then other ceremonies at other
Oh, the
cemeteries.
cemeteries, exactly.
yeah, 3 cemeteries along the way.
The two main events are the parade and the proclamation and the reading
Okay.
up at town hall.
And we've participated, and obviously we want to. I just wanted to bring it to the board, so I know Jackie would like to do at least one of those activities.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Just to, you know, like a lot of families, it's a time of year for us to think about some of our own experiences with this issue, and I would welcome an opportunity to speak or co-speak.
Awesome. Does that work for board members, for the folks that would like to speak? Let's find out actually if there are multiple events first, if we can do that.
So I received the
Kevin's? Yep.
program from last year, and I sent it to you, Caitlin. I don't know if you can pull the program up from last year, and there it does appear that there's at least 4 opportunities to speak. So it starts at the cemetery at 9:15, and there is a Memorial Day address at 9:15, and then there is a Memorial Day address at Forest Glen Cemetery at 10:45, and then a Memorial Day address at Charles Lawn Cemetery at 11:30, and then a Memorial Day address at Wood End Cemetery.
This is far more elaborate than it was during COVID, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is the opportunity again to be outside and see everybody and to.
Yeah, this
to
is
celebrate.
pre-COVID, it's pre-COVID.
Multiple?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, how do folks feel? Jackie, for the address, does that work for folks? What would people like to do?
I might have a conflict that weekend, so if I'm not, I would be, it would be last minute, but right now I cannot commit to anything.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I was under the assumption that it was still like previous years where Karen spoke last year out on the common and that was it. So it's nice to see that it's something completely different and much more involved this time around. So I'd gladly speak at one of if there's 4 cemeteries, I think we could all just do one minus Carlo. So I'm open. Jackie had mentioned stuff first, so she can go first with whichever one she likes, and then I'm open to any of the other ones.
Does that work, Karen, for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I'm in town that weekend right now, but if I am, I will make myself there. So let's respond to Kevin that Jackie can do the select board address and that we'd like to try to get to the other cemeteries, and then maybe if Kevin. How should we do this? Should Kevin reach out, or should we just coordinate through you, Fidel?
Yes, I will coordinate with Kevin.
Okay, we'll figure that out, and thank you, Chris, and everybody.
I'll do that.
Okay, next is an Arbor Day proclamation. We're almost timely. Arbor Day was April 29th. so we're pretty close. But this is a proclamation that we've been doing each year as part of the National Arbor Day Foundation, and we are a community, what's the name?
We are Tree City USA.
Tree City
We are
USA.
on our 30th year of Tree City USA.
We have a banner that used to hang.
Yeah, we
there.
did
It's
used to
like
have a banner.
upstairs somewhere.
And one of the things that we've traditionally done, and I think we have to do, is to have an Arbor Day proclamation as part of that we can each sign and go through.
Some
So-
of the other communities have signage up.
Oh.
I'm starting to see that. I'll pay attention next time I see it.
Yep.
I've seen the signs.
I feel like
I
North
don't know if
Reading
it's here,
has
yeah, I
some.
think it's North Reading, that
Okay.
it's like Tree City, going over the Haverhill
Yeah.
Street.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll get some signs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story, and you know what, maybe just, it'll only take a minute to read it. It's a lot of whereases, pardon the whereases. Whereas, in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, beautify our community, and wherever they're planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas Reading has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for over 30 years and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Reading, Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the Town of Reading, urging all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Excellent.
We send it around.
Second that sentiment.
Absolutely.
The first time I've seen gladden used as a word. I don't
Gladden?
know what gladden means.
Was more glad.
All you learned people are glad. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, Select Board Liaison
I
assignments.
have to move to accept the proclamation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Please.
Move to accept the proclamation as presented.
Second.
Carlo Bibi. Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? We are 5-0. Thank you. Select Board Liaison assignments.
Okay, I didn't get to look at the updated list. Page is that on? 33. I looked at a few lists. I don't even know what. I know we got an update. Every list we've looked at so far looks great.
Yeah, so 133 is the right number.
Okay, I looked online. It kind of looks like it's the same one.
Yeah, 133. So the only question, it's not a question, I spoke with Sudeshna the other day, and she is forming an advisory board and requested a select board liaison to join. I would be happy to do that, especially as RAC winds down, or if others feel very strongly, we can arm wrestle.
A-Track will be sunsetting as well, and hopefully going into that board.
Uh,
That was the original plan.
Yeah, I think we need to have
Are you also the
a,
RAC rep liaison?
I am still the RAC rep.
Sorry,
So-
not RAC, A-Track liaison. I think you were listed as the A-Track
Am I?
liaison. Who is? Just
Is it
facilitate.
still listed?
I
Oh,
don't even
okay,
see it.
I don't
that's,
see it.
okay. Well, that sunsetted a lot quicker than I thought.
I don't think it's officially
Okay.
sunset.
No, it's not official, no.
Okay, well, I thought when we had, I don't remember, I thought you were the liaison last year. It's easy enough to verify.
I was not last year.
Oh, okay, that must be you.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm happy to serve in that role, or if others feel very strongly, I'm okay with that
No,
also.
you only have 10, so I would say,
Yeah, I noticed that. I feel like a laggard.
So moved.
So moved, excellent, second it.
Okay, so, we do need, do we actually have a motion to approve them, or do we just?
Yes.
Okay, please,
So what's happening with the library thing? Is that included in this or no?
the library
What you
thing.
just
We have
mentioned.
to amend it.
We have to amend it, so this is the,
It's pair, right? You're just calling it pair?
Yeah, pair.
P-A-I.
P-A-I-R.
I can pull up what that stands for, because I always forget the acronyms.
I don't think we were this formal about this last year.
No, I don't think we've ever been this
I don't think
formal,
we need
but-
to make a motion, so it can be updated and would make everybody's lives easier.
people all right with that, or do you prefer?
Yeah, no, there is no motion for, no, you're right,
Yeah.
she's right, yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is it.
We'll be busy.
Pair is now on my side as well,
Thank you.
and I'm 11, I'm almost equal.
Well, I'm gonna be 11 in
Oh, that's
in a
right.
month.
There you go. There you go. Jackie, do you have any
Yeah,
question?
and no, just a comment as a new member, and also as someone who came from another board, I welcome opportunities from other board members, from Fidel, to understand how we can be more effective in this role. And use it to increase communication and and efficiency, so.
And efficiency.
Yes.
Right. So we probably should, I would say, let's create an agenda item to actually talk about that, because I think it's more than a couple of words. So why don't we actually spend some time talking about what are the expectations? We've talked about things like what we want to impart to each of these boards in terms of responsibilities, in terms of how to conduct meetings, in terms of feedback we want from them. I think there's stuff that we could talk about. Maybe it's a 15-minute item, just to do an update on. So why don't we, I think that's a great idea to do that. And also, if you look at this list, we can't possibly be at 12, 13 things all the time.
Yeah.
Some of them meet very regularly, others don't.
Right.
So why don't we add that, Fidel, to, I think it's a great 15-minute item. Select board office hours. So with the pandemic, we kind of slid off of that. In the past, what took place was that one member would come a half an hour early and sit in the other room and see if people would come to visit. And that was kind of an office hour. In addition, sometimes someone would be at the senior center for an hour a month to, again, hear from people. I'd like to get back into the habit of doing that. I think that maybe if we said that each of us would do an hour every 2 months or something like that, broken up some way, and then that way the 5 of us are circulating quite a bit. Shake up where we do it, but announce it so that people know where to go, because that'll make it more likely that they come. But we could do the library, we could do the senior center, we could do here. There may be other places we want to go also. I'm sure a cafe is fine or something like that. But I just think we should get into a habit of doing it. And I was going to suggest that we kind of start it, see when different people can do different hours of the day. And sometimes that's more helpful to people. Some people don't like the nighttime activities and would prefer daytime. Maybe we just kind of each think about it and suggest, here, this is when I'd like to do it. So I ended up I found out Senator Lewis was at the senior center yesterday, so I visited as well. And it was great. And there were a pile of questions, and it worked out really well because a lot of the questions were very locally oriented. And so Senator Lewis was there, and I was kind of, well, actually at town meeting, this is what's gonna happen. And so it worked out really well. So I would advocate that we do that. I'd like to do it starting, in May if we can. If there are times that work for people, maybe we just kind of, offer up some times, folks?
I do like the pairing up with our delegations office hours. I did notice my Monday went out the window, but I had it on my calendar that in terms of both getting people to come, like if there's already somebody doing it. So I didn't know. I'm glad it's worked out because I didn't call them ahead of time. It was already Friday, and I didn't know if I was not going to have a place to stand or be terribly inconvenient. But it sounded like you just showed up and it was fun.
So Senator Lewis is in a room. He had one of his legislative aides with him, and people cycled in and asked their questions. And it was really good. And it was I don't know, it was very comfortable. So do folks have preferences? When, how? We want to sign up for So,
I just have a quick question, and I'll gladly take the first go around. In the past, because, COVID hit right when Karen and I got elected, how do we advertise these? How do we try to, get, not just sit there on our phone for an hour and a half or 2 hours? I think 2 hours is a little bit too much.
Hour.
yeah.
He said hour.
An hour.
I thought you said two.
No,
No, he did
two
not say two.
instances
Oh, okay, okay.
in total.
An hour's good. But how do we,
So, I think that it's in the packet, it's announced publicly. I
Okay.
think, it may have been announced in the paper and on social media.
We are more than welcome, absolutely. So, we'll take care of those.
Yeah, I think the
I think
more
it
we
was
in
on the
advance we
agenda.
do it, the
yeah,
better.
and the purpose is to
Yeah.
engage, right?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I also used to list it on the agenda right at the
Yeah,
beginning,
right, right.
the office hour this week and who was doing it actually,
Okay,
if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
no,
goal is to get people to come and to give them lots of different kinds of opportunities. So different places and whatnot. So, fire away, Chris?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so our next meeting would be the 17th. If you wanted, I could do the 17th at 6, as well as during the day at the senior center for an hour on the 17th. Tuesdays are always the best for me to do anything and everything, so.
So let's coordinate that with Amy. I asked her, and I think she said the only bad day is a Monday. I'm pretty sure that's what she said, so Tuesday would be good.
So I can do any time after 9 on Tuesday, whatever she thinks works best. But for here on the 17th, I could be here at 6 instead of 7.
Okay.
And then we can
We'll take care of that.
cycle through everyone and then find out the next time.
Great. Super, other preferences?
I'll take June if you wanna do, before summer hits, we hit May and June, and then we either take the summer off or we can have them.
So we can conceivably have some virtual ones also, if that's gonna make sense, but, yeah, I think we probably pull back, but still, people may have some comments, and even if we just are here before the meeting, that might not be bad. And so, obviously, because of open meeting law, it could conceivably be up to 2 people, but traditionally, it's been 1, but it can't be more than 2.
Right.
I'm happy to take July as well, and just another comment that while I know, the Y is a membership organization, I think the event that Fidel had in March at the Y which I believe was open to the public, in the lobby area was great. I'm biased because I'm a devotee at the Y, but as I know, a lot of others are in town, so if there's an opportunity to do something there, I'd be glad to do that too. I also teach there occasionally.
Yeah, I think probably just check with them, if it's
Yeah.
okay with them.
John Budo said
Yeah.
when we were there,
Yeah.
absolutely, anytime, he said that's why he designed that space, so
Yeah.
I think you're all set, just let him know.
Could we pick a date in June and July, just so we have it on the calendar, we can start advertising, would that be okay with people?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, what's the calendar for, let me see, it's here, hold on. Let's go month. Where's, is there, several month agenda on this packet?
The
There is at
14th
the
of
end.
June is a
Yeah,
meeting.
the end?
June 14th.
Yeah,
Yeah, at the end.
14th is a meeting.
June 14th is the meeting on June.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Okay, June 14th.
I don't have any conflicts.
Would you like
Okay, I mean, they're gonna get back in, which
like
is great.
a 6 PM option and then
At 6 PM here is fine, please.
I think I would like to tag
Well,
along
maybe-
with one of their in-person visits.
5:45?
It's a-
Yeah, 5:45 to 6:45, and if it runs, if people show up, we can, don't have to kick them out.
and are you okay with July 19th?
Yes, that's great. And then
Great.
I can coordinate separately on the
I will join you.
on the Y.
Yeah. I join all.
Yeah, and then just another comment while we were talking about the delegation too, just thinking ahead a little bit, I would think that because they're all up for re-election in November, not to be, crass about it, but I think as we go, especially from like Labor Day to Election Day, it might be a good opportunity to have some of that programming with all three of them. So,
Yeah, we also have traditionally invited them to attend one of our meetings and kind of give us a legislative update. So
When was that last? It was a while ago.
it was virtual, so that means in the last
Oh,
2
no,
years.
remember they came?
Oh, sorry, you're right, they came, they were
You
here.
might have been on the wall.
No, I was like,
You might have been on
I
the
might-
wall.
yeah.
I think you were on the wall. I think they were here and I could see you on the wall.
Because the 3 spots there were taken.
you're right.
But was it
you're right.
last fall? Do you remember?
It was the
So-
3 spots taken
It
up.
might be, you're right, September, it might be just about a year.
Delegations, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Good timing
great.
for them, okay.
September?
Yeah, I think it was in the fall. I think Bob was started, yes, Bob and I suggested, we talked about it early fall.
Great,
Last
I'll reach
fall,
out.
okay.
And maybe we should reach out to Rep. Moulton even,
That would be wonderful.
coordinate that.
Haven't seen him in years. Be
He
great.
used to come to the Fall Street Fair. He came a couple
really?
times. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's where I
Okay.
first met him.
Where'd you find him?
He's a really tall guy,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
He's very fit, very tall, and he was with the second person, and I looked and I said, I think that's Seth Moulton. He said, hi, Seth Moulton. Okay, so we have May, June, July. Karen, do you want August?
Sure.
So August, we got either the 9th or the 30th.
I'm gonna vote for the senior center when Jason Lewis has his open hours.
Okay.
When his,
Okay.
whatever those are.
So do you wanna get back to Fidel, check what those are?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And I'm happy to own September.
And September is 13th.
Great. I actually would like to do the library. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know how
happy
you feel
to,
about that little turret room, but I walked right by it. I'm like, I wonder what you use this for, but
yeah.
right inside the entrance, that could work.
And I can do daytime. I'll do a daytime. Yeah, like a noon. Doesn't have to be on the 13th. Maybe, let's see when there's availability of a room.
Yep.
And I can do like a 12 noon or something. Thanks, folks. I think that's a good thing for us to do, just to get back into that habit. Okay. Future agenda items. All right. Couple things. So, we have talked a little bit, and we've received notes in terms of a policy for flags on the common. I think we probably should have that discussion. So I'm gonna put that onto an agenda. I'd like to find out what the rules are first.
Yeah.
What we can and can't do. So maybe if you can pursue that with Ivrea first.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure if you've been following the Supreme Court case that just came up and like really threw some uncharted territory into this one.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think checking with legal is important.
Okay, so let's do that first, and then maybe if you can let us know what we can and can't do, or Ivrea can, then that'll help us with the discussion. That'd be great.
Mark? Thank you. When you say future agenda, are we gonna try to accommodate the Army flag? I mean, like our next meeting?
Why don't we get an opinion
Right.
pronto?
Right, okay.
Yeah, so if we can get an opinion and kind of understanding right away, we can put it onto the next agenda for the late May meeting. How's that? Yep, I think that's great. Also on the May 17th agenda, Fidel, we've got vote, water and sewer rates. Can you send us a prep memo?
Yep.
Far in advance of that?
Mhm.
That would be very much appreciated. Also, next agenda item on the 17th, it talks about some ARPA funds requests. I think we need to be clear, those are time-sensitive requests only that would come up. It's not an expectation that we're voting all the ARPA money. There are a couple of time-sensitive items that have been requested that we take a look at, so let's put that on. Sharon will come, which is great. We talked a little bit about Affordable Housing Trust revamp discussion. So maybe again, step one might be Ivrea letting us know what's possible, what are the guidelines? And then once we've got those guidelines, then we can schedule it onto the agenda to have a discussion about it. One other thing from my side, we had talked about, Ann's last wish, that's not coming out right. Ann's request to us was, a proclamation of Pride Recognition Day, before the end of the month, when it takes place. So our 5/17 meeting, I think, would be the right time to have that discussion. And what do board members think of inviting Ann to kind of talk to us? That meeting?
If she wants to come, sure.
Yeah, it may take some work, but I don't think it will. That, cool?
That'd be wonderful.
Okay, great. That's all I had. Any other folks, Madam Scrum?
You mentioned it at the beginning of the meeting, but I'm sure it's in your notes about the discussing a committee for.
Thank you.
For
Oakland.
well,
Simon's.
kind of both, but we need more input on
Yeah.
On Oakland. But I don't disagree with Fidel, but I think having a committee and just if a private public partnership, I don't want to say is impossible, but if it's more possible than not, I think that will add to the conversation to the committee than a what if.
Right.
And I'm not opposed to forming it and see what other committees we want involved. Because it doesn't have to be, a recreation facility, so to speak, and it doesn't have to be one story either. So, so I'm obviously I'm gonna have a lot of interest in that committee, but I think the sooner we talk about it and see what we wanna get out of it, the better.
So why don't we see if we can fit it on the 17th, and if we can't, put it on the 31st.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's one of those two, and let's get it moving. And the discussion to decide who should be on it, what its charter will be.
And then you were the lead on this. I don't know if you have any updates coming on the easement for Meadowbrook.
So a little bit. The town has been able to get the services of Weston. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'm just asking you for a few
Next
future.
meeting, there'll be an update.
Future
Awesome,
agenda.
I'm so excited.
I was closing my mouth, but it was
Sorry.
under the mask, couldn't see it, thank you. Yes, let's do that at the next meeting, that sounds like a good idea. A quick update, but it's an update,
Great.
super. Actually, if you want, I could do that as a liaison report at the next.
Yeah,
meeting.
whatever. Just
Why don't I
it's
just do
gonna
that as
be
liaison?
a couple minutes.
Yep. Okay. Any other? Chris?
I also had Meadowbrook Affordable Housing, the subcommittee, somewhat that was also mentioned, that you had mentioned. And then, was it also something for, like a celebration of Bob or whatever scenario was supposed to be happening? Was that,
So.
does it have to be an agenda item or the town can just do it anyway?
I don't think it has to be an agenda item. We can just talk about doing.
Yeah, Bob and I have talked about it, and again, I know it's not on the agenda, so I won't elaborate.
Actually, I think you can talk about it. We
Okay, I can talk about it, great.
We can.
Yeah, we,
We'll talk offline.
okay.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, so let's do meeting minutes. Anybody have any comments on the meeting minutes of, whoops, went right by them.
I did, and I sent them to Caitlin, except I never attached the attachment, and she just got them.
Oops.
Keep trying.
So these are the meeting
Keep
minutes
trying.
of April 19th.
Just
I can put Karen's up on the board if you would like.
thanks. They're not
Please.
big. Some are just consistency things.
Yikes. Can you make that like 5 times bigger?
No, sorry, hold on.
I'm due for some new glasses.
You see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Alright, so the first is in red here.
Factual.
I mean, you can elaborate if you want, I was like, I like, the format of this is really short and sweet, which I'm loving.
Yeah, I figured you'd like this.
It's really short and sweet.
Everyone good with that?
I'm fine with that. You guys all right?
Yep.
And that was reversed and we were missing the second, okay. And then actually, I don't remember, so I made a nomination, and I'm sure we had a second, I don't know if anybody remembers who seconded it. Was it you?
I don't think it was
Or we
me,
don't think it was you?
but maybe that needs a rerun.
I can watch the video.
All right, thank you, sorry. And that was just for consistency.
Yep. Yes. So you added the word, sorry, can
It
you
was
back
an
just one
extra
second?
practice and
Oh, you
it seemed
crossed it
like
out?
it was, yeah.
Folks all right with that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
I think that was it. Awesome. Oh, no, sorry. So I know I just wanted to be a more precise and specific than a few board members, because I think there was a lot of us and it's a little generic.
What's the question mark?
Oh, because I couldn't remember if you were one of the ones. I remember Chris said a lot.
CB is
It
me.
might have been all of us.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
I think it's all of us.
Did you say?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
okay.
all of us.
It's all of us.
Yeah, so,
Except me, because
oh,
I,
you just didn't say anything, it's fine. Okay, so,
Okay, so take the question mark out and
and
then,
put Carlo, or Bocci.
where are the last names? Yep.
Board members Herrick, Doxer, Haley, Bocci noted they would be in favor of keeping the budgets.
Cool. Yep, okay.
There's not that.
Nope.
Is this
Go back
added?
just to the top of the page. Those are-
RMHS was added.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
RMHS, yep. It's all right?
Yep.
Okay,
Then I think, okay, yeah, that was it.
Great.
we have a motion, please, as amended.
Move to approve the meeting minutes of April 19th, 2022 as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand. Opposed? We are 5-0. Okay, then we need a motion to move to executive session, please.
Move that the board go into executive session, including staff members Fidel Maltez and Caitlin Saunders, under purpose 2 and purpose 3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with and approve contracts for the following unions: ASME Local 1703, Engineers Bargaining Unit. And further, the chair declares that an open meeting could have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the body, and the board will not reconvene in open session.
Second.
Thanks, Carlo. Any discussion? Nope. Let's take a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? We are 5-0, so we are adjourned from open session.